Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the next installment of my motion graphics blog. My name is Alan Shisco, and I am a motion graphics artist. Today, what I'm going to do is take a look at a background package from a company named ArtBeats. This particular background package is called Chromatica, and it's actually a background package that I developed for ArtBeats. It got released a couple of months ago, and this one has a couple of different things than your usual standard background projects, and I'm going to take a little walkthrough today so you can take a little look at what the differences are and how it can help you out in your workflow. The Chromatica package I developed as some really aggressive footage because I found that I often had some editorial content that I needed to support, but a lot of the fuzzy, soft backgrounds, they may not necessarily cut it. You might want something that works a little bit harder to go along with the footage that you're using. So that's the reason that I developed Chromatica. It uses a lot of really metallic materials, and it uses a lot of 3D stuff, and very aggressive, and it works in a lot of situations where you need something that rock and rolls. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to my editing application. In this case, I'm using Premiere Pro, but what I'm going to show you will work in any editing application. So what I have here is just a really simple little project. I've got a timeline with some footage on here. Again, this footage that I'm using up here, you can see in the right corner, is from ArtBeats. This is a bunch of shots of a car driving really, really fast, like a time lapse going along the roads. So it's really fast footage, and I wanted to have something that I could use that was aggressive that would back it up as well. So what I did is I designed this, let's just turn that off. I designed this one little background right here. Now, what the Chromatica package ships with is not just a bunch of backgrounds, but it also ships with a bunch of grayscale mats. You can see over here on the left-hand side. Now, what these grayscale mats do, there's a whole bunch of them. They fit in different ways into a lot of the backgrounds that I use. So what you can do is you can apply track mat keys to your footage, and you end up with stuff like this. If I turn this on, what I've got here is I've got in the background that I've got, plus I've got the footage that I was using for the shot before, just right there. And if you see, as I drag along, I have it come in, and because I'm using this track mat here, and this track mat fits in perfectly to the elements that I've got in this background, you end up with a really nice looking little composition there, and I think it all supports itself really nicely. So now the other thing that I did in this case is I just used the title tool in Premiere Pro and stuck on a couple little titles here. I'll turn those on. And there you go. We've got a nice little video that probably took about 2 seconds to whip together. Well, maybe not two, a few more seconds than that, a couple of minutes anyway. And you've got a really nice little opening title sequence with some lower thirds where you can put your footage in there. Go back to the blog there, and there's a link of the final render so you can check it out to see how it looks. Now, the other really cool thing about the Chromatica project, if you're going to be getting the standard def version of Chromatica, it ships with something that's included. It comes with it. It's a little After Effects project that I designed called Blender. What it does is, if we open it up here, we'll go to it. You open up the Blender project. It works in After Effects 6.5 and later. What I did is I sort of created this little way using expressions, and everything's all linked together in a clever, tricky ways to allow you to create, and I calculated the number. It's something like 68,000 different kinds of backgrounds. The idea is when you open up the Blender After Effects project file, what you do is you get a little thumbnail of every one of the little backgrounds that are included with the project. Plus you get thumbnails of each of the mats that are shipped along with the Chromatica project. So it's pretty cool. All you got to do is click here on any of these buttons and drag them over and watch what happens. Okay. The little box follows around and highlights whatever it is that wherever I'm over, and what it's going to do is it's going to use this particular background. That's why it says BG. This particular foreground, and we can move that around as well. And it's going to use this mat and then automatically composite together to create some really interesting little backgrounds. So all you got to do is choose your backgrounds here, then select one of your output methods here. It's got supports NTSC, DV, D1, DV, the PAL formats as well. Just click on one of them, and we're going to see a nice render of a composite of the two foreground and background that you chose. So for instance, we're using that right there. Let's go back to Blender. That looks okay, but let's change that foreground to something a little bit softer. We'll go to something like that. Click on there, and there we go. Looks good. Yeah, maybe not. Let's just play around a little bit. Now, the cool thing about Blender here is that it's a really intuitive way to design backgrounds. As I'm clicking, I don't need to know any math. I don't even need to know anything about After Effects. All I got to do is click and drag. After Effects is the interface that I'm using here. So, the really great thing about this is, actually, well, before we move on, I'll just show you what it looks like if we pick another matte. There we go. So now we're getting that matte composited over there. Oops. There we go. Pretty cool, eh? Okay, so let's say you've got this project here, and you like the sort of backgrounds that you're getting, but they're just not quite what you want. They're maybe a little bit too sharp. Maybe you want something a little bit softer. Maybe you want to play around with it a little bit. Well, if you know even just a little bit about After Effects, you can start playing around with this to get some different looks. So, for instance, let's go to the NTSC D1 here. I'm going to click on this layer here. Now, if I've got a whole bunch of layers shied here. If I click this button here, you can see that these are all the actual video clips, and they're controlled by expressions to be turned on or off. Now, you can see that the foreground layer is a pre-composition that's above everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide all those layers again. What you can do here is you can start doing some tricky stuff. Like, for instance, you can add a new adjustment layer. And let's put that on top. And then I'm going to apply effect, just something really simple like a blur, compound blur. And you can see right away that gives you a kind of a cool looking soft effect, which is quite different from the hard stuff that we had there earlier. Let's go back to Blender and let's choose a blocky background here. That one right there. Actually, no, let's go to these ones here, and we'll choose that one. And those two backgrounds have a nice color. We'll go back and see how that looks. Yeah, it's starting to look kind of interesting. So you like that, but that's pretty good, but it's kind of, you want to have those foreground areas a little bit sharper. So just grab onto your adjustment layer here and move it below the foreground. And remember, we've got all the other layers are below the foreground, so it's going to be below the foreground, but above all the other layers. And if we do that, now we have the sharp stuff, but we're affecting just the background. Now, if you want to go a step further, then you go to your modes here, and you can see that the foreground is composited using a hard light transfer mode here. Start playing around with this. Overlay looks nice. Difference is always a good one. Play around with these to your heart's content. And once you do that, you can just start doing other stuff. You can start adding other effects to these ones. Let's give it a little bit of a box blur to this one. And E. And there you go. And now you're starting to get, in this case, one of your traditional soft, flowy backgrounds. So you can see that this is a really quite a powerful background system. You're not stuck with just one particular look. If you like the soft, fuzzy backgrounds, if you need them, make them. If you need the hard, sharp, aggressive ones, keep them as they are. Now, the really powerful thing about this, if you happen to be on the PC, and if you happen to have the video editing suite that they've just released, is they have something really cool called Adobe Dynamic Link. So for instance, I can click here. Well, first I'm going to go back to my After Effects project. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back to Premiere Pro, and I'm going to go File, Adobe Dynamic Link, Import After Effects Composition. I'm going to go to the spot where I saved my project file. In this case, here it is. It's on my desktop. I click on the project file, and it's asking me to select which composition I want to use. I'm working in DV here, so I'm going to select Render NTSC DV 720 by 480. Hit the OK button. And there we go. We've got another new little thing right here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag this down here and replace the background that I was using there. And voila. So this way what we're doing here is any changes that I make to my backgrounds using the ArtBeats Blender gets updated automatically in my video editing application. So for instance, I know that the foreground I'm using is that same background that I was using initially. I can change the look of this completely just by going up here, and it'll update. That looks pretty interesting. That's looking not too bad. And I know that it's going to work, and it's seamless, and it works really, really well. So this is just another way that you can use the Chromatica package plus the ArtBeats Blender project to do some creativity, even when you've got a client sitting over your shoulder. It allows you to do some really, really fast editing and fast background changes that otherwise would take you forever to do otherwise. Nice, eh? So again, the project, the background project is called Chromatica. It was designed by myself, Alan Shisco. $499. I should also mention that all of these backgrounds are available in high def as well. And I was told by the ArtBeats people that the Blender After Effects project is not included with the high def files, but they said all you got to do is if you order the high def stuff, just say, hey, Alan told me that you got this Blender thing. Why don't you throw that in? And they said that'd be no problem. So if you buy high def, if you buy standard def, you'll be getting the whole package, including the After Effects Blender application. So there you go. That's my blog for today. Hope everybody found it a little bit interesting, and hope it helps you out on your work as we go forth. And if anybody would like to get in touch with me, you can go to my website at www.effector.ca. My name again is Alan Shisco. Have a good day, everybody.